So we do have some people online. I think Matthew Boucher's online. How are you? Steve Crucial's coming in online, and possibly Cora Garvin is also coming in online. Mr. Mackey, do we see Cora out there?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Take them in, I'll bring them in.
Okay, great. First item of business is to approve the minutes from September 7th. Did send them out earlier today, but they're also at your places. Just take a moment to peruse those. See, they remember from September 7th.
Yeah, and I don't know if I was absent or not.
I have a feeling you might
It's Mark absent, so.
We're definitely there, so that was
on the 7th, he was there?
yeah.
I don't know that he was there.
I don't know either. I can't.
Well, I have in the comments, I like.
Oh, that he spoke?
Comments, yeah.
Oh.
So then you were here.
Sorry, Bruce. You spoke.
Good.
About that.
It's all good.
Okay,
Motion to approve the minutes?
all right. With the amendment?
Yes, please.
All right. We have a motion to approve with the amendment, marking Mr. Penny present. Any seconds?
I'll second.
All right. Mr. Thompson, second. All right,
Gordon.
I sent it,
Best to send it somebody. We just sent it over to
Cora. Okay, I got it going over to her right.
okay, thank you. All right, I'll do a roll call because we have some people online. I think Cora's still waiting to get in. I'm a yes. Is Mr. Crucial online?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. Ms. Prather?
Yes,
Oh, actually, were you absent at that one? So-
that's right. Yep, sir.
Mr. McGee?
Yes.
Mr. Thompson?
Yes.
Mr. Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Boucher?
Yes.
And now that we know you were present, Mr. Fenny? Okay. And any no's and one abstention? Are you abstaining? Donna? Okay. Okay, that passes. Thank you. All right. I don't have any public here in the conference room. Do we have anybody online?
No, we do not.
Okay. Then we'll move into our schedule updates.
Sure. So we're gonna walk through it and we'll come back to it. So
Go ahead.
first off, congrats on everyone. You have a project. So since the approval of the project back in November, so the design team has now shifted gears into detailed design. And so the overall schedule, I think, like we've spoken in the past, is going to largely mirror the high school construction project. Construction set to begin summer of 2024 with the completion of the building in the summer of 2026. So the design team will go. July-ish, yes. And so actually that kind of leads in nicely to our other update. We will
The building, the school building and.
in the pool building, that's correct. Yeah, I like to differentiate because the school has the demolition of this building and all of that associated with it. So yeah, we are actually in the process of bringing on a construction manager for both of the projects. And so once we do bring on a construction manager at the end of January, we'll be building out kind of a comprehensive construction schedule with them just to tie into kind of what the design team needs and ultimately take a look at this from the construction standpoint. So we will have a fully developed schedule to be sharing with you after the first of the year. But yeah, that's the gist on the schedule for right now. And so the CM selection process that I alluded to, we are in the second phase now. So the request for proposals went out to construction managers. Let me backtrack a bit. The request for qualification, we received 7 submissions total for the pool project. 6 of them were the same firms who submitted on the high school project. And so the firms were Bar and Bar, Daniel O'Connell's Sons, Consigli, Gilbane, Whiting Turner, Fontaine. What am I missing, John? I think that was it. I think that's six. So, we did end up disqualifying two of the firms, Daniel O'Connell's Sons and, Bar and Bar. And the reasoning for that, we sat down with the, CM selection committee, and when we received all the qualifications, the requirements of the request for qualifications are that each firm needs to submit an updated, DCAM update statement, certificate of eligibility. And Daniel O'Connell's Sons submitted one that the form actually, it says like what your single project limit is and your aggregate and all of that. Their single project limit was lower than the estimated value for the high school project. And so we had to disqualify them for the high school project. And we did technically qualify them for the pool project, but they did back out because they said that it doesn't make sense for them to submit. And then Bar and Bar had submitted similarly. It was the DCAM eligibility statement, which we require that it needs to be updated, accurate, legitimate. They submitted an outdated one with a note basically saying that they were in process of receiving, their updated certificate. So it's kind of out of their hands. However, at the time we told them they basically had until the end of the RFQ period to submit that document. They were unable to do so. And so we weren't able to qualify them for the next phase, although they might have been okay. Their document might have been legitimate. We didn't have it in time. So we did have to disqualify them for the second phase as well. So we did send RFPs to 5 of the firms. So it was Fontaine, Figley, Gilbane, Whiting Turner, and DA Sullivan. We're not sure if DA Sullivan will submit, but ultimately those 5 firms who received a request for proposal, they're allowed to submit on the project. So our deadline for RFP responses is January 3rd, Wednesday, January 3rd. So when we receive the responses, we'll kind of know how we need to structure the interviews and everything. But we do have an interview date set for January 19th. That's a Friday. And so when we receive the proposals, the CM selection committee, both Bruce and Steve are on that committee. We'll take a look at the proposals themselves, and there's a kind of an evaluation matrix that we'll set up, and we kind of start to rank the firms based off of what they provided in their proposal. But perhaps a bigger part of that is the interviews, and the interviews are all tied into that evaluation as well. So once the interviews are concluded, we basically finish up the evaluation matrix and the rankings of the firms, and there will be a selection made after that. So that's just kind of the high level overview of the process that's going on behind the scenes. Don't know if anybody has any questions on that. I would say the 4 firms who were qualified, we're very confident could do this project. We've checked all their qualifications, all their references came back good. Really no concerns on that end, so.
Thank you.
Are they all Massachusetts firms? How does that work? Not necessarily.
There are.
Whiting
some
Turner's
that have-
based in Maryland or something like that, but they have a
an office up there.
Springfield office. Gilbane's nationwide. They're based out of Providence, but have a Boston office. Consigli's Milford and Fontaine
Yeah,
Springfield. Yeah.
So further away, CMs, we're not worried about Boston necessarily. They'll be here enough. That's not something we consider, or is it?
I think it's something to consider.
And I would say there are a couple firms that I would be more concerned about than others on that, but that will definitely be part of the conversation for the committee.
I'm more concerned about where the project manager and where the superintendent live. So if it's a guy coming from Wakefield or Lynn or something like that, he's not going to want to come here every day, versus a guy.
They'll let us know that.
Yeah, that's part of the.
Who will be and where they, yeah, okay. Cool.
Moving on.
I don't think we need to spend a ton of time on this slide, but I just put it in there to remind folks, because it's been a while since we've met, where the project budget ended up and what was approved is that bottom number, the 16.755. Not for any particular point, but just as kind of a reminder of where the cost estimating process has gone.
Okay.
Great, and I think dig into the plans and the and gathering feedback. I think we have Mike Mancini on the call as well. Mike, are you there?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah,
We can.
all set.
Okay.
So
So,
just-
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just quickly on the plan of the pool, this is where we ended up at the end of schematic design. Again, it's been a little while. We've got the whole high school and the pool down there in a little thumbnail on the right. Just to remind folks of the relationship between the two. That's taken from our Revit model. It's very rare that we have drawings of both of them on the same sheet. But the athletics lobby is basically part of the pool project. So the exterior wall of the school is the end of the school project, and everything in color is the pool project. And this is a much smaller building committee than the school building committee. So we're definitely hopeful that these school build or pool building committee meetings we can get into the nitty-gritty details, and hoping to do a little bit of that today. Mike Mancini is with us from Aquatic Design. He is only here until 2:30 as a sharp stop. So we have 16 minutes of your time, Mike, and then if we
Sure.
get
Yeah, let me,
that'd
if
be
you don't
great.
mind.
And then we'll
Thank
get into some of the more architecture after that.
Is Cora in yet?
She is, yeah,
Okay, great.
and Steve's here.
Great.
They're both muted and no video, but.
Great.
So we've already had several pool meetings to go over program and equipment selections, and the town and the architecture team has done a really good job and really going back and forth as far as filters and pumps and valves and controllers. So we've already gone through all that. So there's really no need to do that again. The only outstanding discussion that we should have is I guess the gutter style and the pool construction style, and only because others on the design team have brought that up as, okay, this is still an open item. I realize there's a swim coach and some program people that are involved in design, and they have their own personal preferences. So my job is really just to display what the options are in terms of gutter styles and construction methods are. You could go ahead and click to that slide. Let's see where I can't see the slideshow.
Oh, hang on.
Go back one. Okay.
Okay,
Review
so-
design and pool shell. That's the slide. There we go.
Yeah. So am I able to share my screen if I want to as well?
You can, Mike, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what you're looking at on your screen now are just some of the gutter style options that we've been talking about and looking at. First off, the pool construction can either be a concrete pool, in which case we pour the floors, and then we have the walls shotcrete, we shoot the walls. As far as that construction goes, then you have a couple options as far as the gutter style. The gutter is required. It's a perimeter overflow system that goes around the perimeter of the pool. It collects all the water off the surface. It's a code requirement. It's a standard operating procedure in all pools. There's a couple ways we can do that. We can do a stainless steel gutter, which is a pre-manufactured product, gets welded to the pool shell after construction. You could see how we've talked about that before. You could see some stainless steel pool gutters there. That's not our typical design. If we were in full control over the pool design, we would prefer to have a concrete style gutter where it's actually constructed of concrete and not a stainless steel product offered by some supplier or so. We call them like deep gutters because they have a large surge capacity. As you can see in some of those images of the top two on the left there, you've got your rim flow style and your sort of, we call it like a cantilever style. The only difference there is one of them is at the water level. So we call it rim flow because the water just sort of slides right over. The deck is at the same level as the pool water. That's what we would prefer, especially on a competitive pool like this. The other option for a concrete gutter would be cantilever style, or some people refer to it as semi-recessed, where the water level is actually below the deck level. That's a little more trickier to accomplish, and it's really not the best fit when one of your major programs is competitive swimming. You could see a little bit of a corner detail down in the left. It's a concrete gutter. It has like a little finger grip, which is great for people to be able to grab and climb out, especially younger kids or non-strong swimmers. It gives them something firm they can wrap their fingers around. It's much more safe. It's easier to get backboards in and out in the instance of, say, an EMT response or a spinal injury. It's better for competitive swimming. We also put a tile finish on it. So you can see there's that nice little tile finish around the corner there. And then the way the pool is designed is so that when people enter the pool and the water overflows, it simply could just skim right over that coping detail and into that white perimeter grading. I'm going to share my screen now, if that's okay. Let me see if I can. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, hold on. All right, let me know if you could see my screen now.
Yep.
Be over there.
You can. Okay,
can,
so
yep.
good. So here's a detail of what that would look like. You can see how it's constructed. It's completely concrete. It's got a tile finish. That little light blue sheen shows where the pool water level will sit in when it's empty or full. Then as people enter, just like when you drop ice cubes into a glass of water, it overflows. It drops into that deep trough there you see, also made of concrete. It's got some white plastic grating along the top, which is great because it sort of skims away Band-Aids and goggle straps or broken swim caps, etc. Only water gets into that trough, and then that's delivered into the filter system. That's been our base design for nearly 40 years. If you go to some of the fastest D1 colleges, world championship pools that we've done, and pretty much every pool in California, you're going to see that they're designed this way. So that's what we would want you to do. But you do have some other options. Let me see what I can pull up here. Hold on. If you wanted to go with more of a
hi Mike, it's Cora. I'm here, but I'm a little confused as to why we're talking about this because we had already voted on this and decided what we wanted because I showed all the specs from the Minnechaug pool like way back when, and I still have pictures of those. And I was going to suggest after talking to some of the other people that are on the committee that we actually do a visit to the Minnechaug pool because those people who are not familiar with that, I know we're basing it off of a West Springfield pool. Minnechaug pool in this area is probably one of the best pools around. And if anybody knows anything about swimming in this area, they would tell you the same. I think it's really important that we get this part right. I'm not a fan of the gutters that you just showed us and the gutters that we had shown a while ago from when we went to visit Minnechaug, myself and another swim coach and the CPO for the pool. We presented this a long time ago. So I'm a little confused as to why we're discussing this again.
Yeah, no, I had an email come in a couple days ago where I guess we still needed to discuss, this, but I'm under the impression that you've already made your decision. But I was asked to just have this prepared for today, so that's why.
Well, to clarify,
We decide.
to clarify from my perspective, so this came up. Cora's been really, really clear about the stainless, and we did reach out to Cora because the question about concrete or stainless came up, and Cora responded by sharing these pictures saying, this is what we want. And I said, okay, like it wasn't saying like, this is the Minnechaug condition. I said, okay, so for SD, we've got the number here baked in. Let's go with that. We didn't get into it here in the group to discuss the specifics. And what I know, for instance, like what Cora keeps responding to is the step and getting out. So it's helpful to talk about why specifically certain things are the features. The other thing that has also come up is there were committee members who were concerned about overflow and having that water level high, and how if you do that water level high situation that you're talking about, Mike, that it spills beyond that grate pretty easily in these high school environments. And
Not with our design, because we put a giant deep trough here, as you could see. We sized this trough here. I don't know if you could see my mouse moving. And the stainless steel gutters are all custom made per job, so they'll have deeper troughs as well. It's all dependent upon, there's a formula for the pool volume and how big that trough needs to be. So for the stainless steel pool, with the deck level gutter, you won't have an overflow issue because the trough will be sized appropriately for the size of the pool. I'll see if I can pull up a picture of that.
Sharing now.
Right.
Which one does Cora prefer? I don't.
She prefers the one that Mitch.
Stainless steel on the
Stainless steel.
Yes, this is the one he said that
lower right.
not do.
On the lower right,
But
I thought she wanted the other step, the one that's reduced, the trough.
The middle?
Within.
Cora, are you talking about the stainless steel on the lower right?
The one on the bottom right, if you're looking
of
up
those.
at the screen.
Both of those are Minichog on the right side,
On the right side.
different sides of the pool.
Okay.
And Mike, the question I would have, you mentioned California pools. I mean, California, when I think especially Southern California, everything's outdoor pools.
Right.
When you've got a water level that is flat with the gutter line in an outdoor pool, it doesn't really matter if somebody's swimming butterfly and the splash goes like 10 feet. It's gonna dry. What's the state of the art in indoor pools where there's splashes happening all the time? That's my first question. Second question is, and it's a timely one because decks are slippery. Ask our coach. Where are pool decks today and the safety of pool decks? How has that evolved? And I think we should also spend some time talking about the safety of pool decks.
All right, well, here's an image on my screen of an indoor pool using the.
I think you gotta share screen again, Mike.
I, trying to show everybody here, you know what I mean?
Okay. Sure, yeah, I'm sorry. Thought I was sharing.
You were.
Okay,
I took you off, so you have to come back in.
okay, so, there's your indoor pool with the, what we call rim flow gutter. And rim flow can be achieved with, both styles. You can use stainless steel or concrete with tile finish for a rim flow gutter. This just shows how the water level comes right up to the pool. And then you've got this grating here, which is used to collect any water that comes out of the pool and then into the gutter. And just shortly behind that, we have deck drains. And deck drains are there to capture whatever water goes beyond this grating. I mean, it is a swimming pool. The decks will be wet no matter what. It's just something that we deal with. I was a swim coach for 10 years. The only people on deck during swim practice are coaches, usually. And, they're standing back a little bit and they typically don't slip and fall as much. I don't really, there hasn't been any new proprietary technology introduced to the market that makes it skid proof or skid free. Outdoor pools have concrete decks. They have a little more traction to them, but indoor pools, a lot of them have tile finish and they do get slippery, but most of the time where the people are walking are not right against the edge. And there is 2 layers of grading. You've got your recirculation grading here. And then just beyond that is sort of deck drains, and the deck drains will remove whatever water gets beyond the gutter grading. And then that takes that water and actually brings it out to waste.
Mike, how far out is that? Like, I've been at pools. I've been the Upper Valley Aquatic Center up in Hartford, Vermont is amazing and has that same type of pool deck and overflow. And it's great, but they also have a ton of deck space. Our pool is not going to have a ton of deck space. So if you're taking this much for the grate and the gutter and you have foot traffic coming in, that's going to be dirty. It is going to be slippery and wet with people coming in. And I just don't know how much space we have to afford off the edge of the pool to accommodate for this.
Well, by code, we're going to have some sort of deck drainage anyway, because we can't have water being stagnant and puddling on the decks. And the decks are sloped in a way so that there's always a percentage of slope that brings water towards, it encourages the water to move towards all the grading and drainage that's available. So there'll never be puddles or ponding or stagnant water, because whatever water comes out of the pool is going to hit the grates. And then the other trench grates or slot grates or whatever area grates we decide to go with, they're sloped down into that grate so that water is always traveling towards them. I mean, it's a swim pool. It's always going to be a wet environment, especially when you got senior swimmers doing kick sets and water flying all over the place. There's really no such thing as an indoor pool with dry decks, but we do have a gutter design and a drainage design to mitigate that as much as humanly possible.
Right, but how far, like the one that you're showing us right now, how far off of the pool deck does that grate system go is what I'm wondering, because we only
this gray grating you're seeing right here?
Yeah. Yeah,
That is maybe about 4 or 5 inches from the edge of the pool. If you look towards the bottom of the lane lines,
yep.
about 4 inches.
And then how wide is that?
That stuff's usually between like 8 and 10 inches wide. That water is designed to be returned to recirculation, so.
Right, no, I mean, I mean, I know, been around swimming pools a long time, and I don't necessarily have a problem with this. I don't like the lip on the top. It's not easy for kids who are little and learning how to do backstroke starts. It's not enough of a grip for them to hold on to. Then they have to hold on to the handlebars that are going up with whatever block system we decide to use, which are typically too high for children. Like it's too high for young children with shorter arms and bodies to have the strength to be able to use them appropriately. So they have to hold on to the edge of the pool, which is great in our pool right now because we have this great lip. But those little lips that go over the top with this type of gutter system are not great for little kids to hold on to for when they're doing like backstroke starts or when we're starting in the pool, like doing kick sets and other sets or whatever. But Dory, can you tell us, or somebody from the design team tell us how much width we actually have around each side of the pool? Because that's one piece of I'm actually concerned about when we've
Yeah.
been going to all these meets this winter and looking at how little space we have on the pool deck and outside of the pool deck on that little, like, I don't know what you want to call it, like
Sure, we have,
entry and vestibule area. Like
Right.
there's not a lot of space for people, and we have a lot of people that come to our swim meets. So I'm just concerned about deck space and how much of that's going to be taken up by grates and overflow of water and whatever else.
the narrowest section on the apron, on the deck is between the edge of the bleachers that are the visitor bleachers, audience bleachers. The edge of that pool is 8 feet, 10 1/4 inches. That's the narrowest stretch. It's 10-1 at the end, end towards the school, and much larger at the other end. And then the other, then it's 10 feet on the team side. And then you have a slightly narrower stretch where you have the walk-in, that's 8 feet 4. So that would actually be, I guess, the tightest spot there, but that's after it slows down a little bit at the step.
So if we take, say, 1.5 feet for the amount it's coming off of the pool, and then another, however much the gutter is if it's 1.5 feet, you're taking 1.5 feet off of that much space around the outside of the pool. That's actually like walkable deck space.
But Cora, doesn't the stainless steel do the same thing?
It's actually built into the pool, so it doesn't go out as far.
No, it can't be because we have designated widths of the lane, so it's gonna come past that. You know what I'm saying?
Not 1.5 feet on each side.
Probably about a foot with the stainless, just like pine knoll, about a foot.
So you pick up 6 inches.
What about the cantilever then? Why not go with that?
Well, I have one other question before we leave your picture, Cora. Just to be sure it's asked of Michael, you were talking about that recess at the end so that it's easier to push up out of the pool. Does that matter to you? And is that something that can be accomplished in any of these designs?
I mean, anything would be easier than getting out of the current pool we have.
So Michael, you hearing me about that? Is on the concrete pools, all the pictures you're showing come all the way to the edge of the water. Is there any kind of pushing up out of the pool into the step as you see in the stainless option where the ends of the pool have an easier way out?
With stainless?
No, with the concrete, I'm asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really the biggest thing you need to determine is whether you want the water level at the wall or slightly higher. That's pretty much the major decision for any gutter, whether it's concrete or stainless steel. Let me pull up a picture of what I'm trying to say. I think for competitive pools, you wouldn't want a cantilever gutter because the walls are much higher than the water level is. Especially for age group swimmers, I don't think that that's a good match.
Maybe speed.
Speed of what?
Turning.
Or it's a faster swim.
The walls are walls though.
Why is that not good for competition, Mike? Just because it's a farther dive from the board or like?
Change the height of the block though.
What's the
Let me-
problem? Water level being below the deck.
Splashback. Wait.
Just give me a second. I'm trying to pull up.
Water
the
level at the top of either the flat part or it's underneath the cantilever, but the water is where the water is.
But that's, well.
Okay, this is kind of where I'm going.
You're
Back.
gonna get the wave coming back,
Waves,
right?
wave
Every time-
All right, so this is where I'm referring to, guys. Do you see my screen?
Yeah,
Okay, you've got two options and both options are the same configurations, whether you go with stainless steel or concrete. It's the same. This one on the left would be what we call rim flow, and you can see that blue sheen is the water level of the pool. It's just so that the deck is the same level as the water. And then the one on the right is what we call recessed or cantilever style, because as you see, the water level goes into like almost like a J-shaped cavern, and the concrete deck is way above that. Do you see what I'm talking about?
You get waves that bounce off that. Is that what makes it less fast?
It's
Can't
not
be
about, it's not really about being less fast or more fast. It's just more about like now somebody has to climb out of this pool instead of just sort of ease their way out. The one on the left, you can get out of the pool much easier. The one on the right, you have to be able to sort of navigate that lip that can be 10 or 12 inches above the water level.
But if somebody look at the designs that they had up of the Minnetonka pool?
Mhm. Yeah, so we're looking at them in the room. Cora. Yeah, that's cantilevered then, right?
Well,
Yeah, kind of, but it
Isn't
looks
something-
different on the edge of the pool than it does on the side of the pool.
It's both, right?
Yeah, it's
But it looks like a cantilever.
water levels below.
Cantilevered.
It's used to kind of, right.
Yeah, like the top is raised above the water level.
Yeah, like this one's higher. Why is this one
Can I
higher?
share my screen and show you the pictures that I
The
have
left
from
ones are
Minnetonka?
Minichog.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Why is there this drain looks like it's flush with the water? This drain looks like it's.
It's because it's above it.
right, exactly. What we're looking
So if you look here, this is not going out that far on any edge around the outside of the pool. It's cantilever on the very edge of the pool. So what you're looking at is the deep end. There's a ledge on the edge of the pool, so kids can stand there to help them get out. And then over here on the left-hand side, there are stairs, like it's a ladder, so you can get in and out. But the edge on it's level with the water. And yes, you'll have to take one step to get out, but that's not like you're totally hoisting yourself up off the edge to get out of the pool.
But of both
That's what I mean.
options combined together, right?
Right, that's
Yeah,
why.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, I see it. I see it.
And so that way the water's still going over the edge, but there's a little bit of a lip, especially on the shallow and the deep end of the pool, which will help a little bit with some water, but I feel like this is like one of the best designs
Yeah.
because working up at Pine Knoll, which there are some issues with that pool or whatever, but the water constantly overflows. And I know that newer pools are built so that the water comes like, is angled down to come back into that. So it's not so much of an issue, but I think that this is one of the best designs for a swimming pool if you're going to have competitive swimming in it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's not deck level anywhere, but it just has more of a cover on the end walls than it does on the side walls. So on the 25-yard sections, it's just recessed a little further back.
Right.
But on the deep end and shallow end sections, it's the same elevation. It just has the cover coming straight over the top.
Right.
Okay, so if that's the design that you want with a stainless steel gutter, all you have to do is just give me, notice to proceed, and then we'll go into that during our next design. I mean, we don't dislike or like any particular gutter. We prefer the concrete ones because yes, we do more outdoor pools in California, especially. But if this is your pool and that's your preference, you just tell us that that's the way you want it and we'll design it that way. I'm not in sales. I don't sell one gutter over the other or make a commission on one or the other. I just want to make sure we're clear on what the owner wants, and then we'll go ahead and design it. So if that's what you prefer, I took a screenshot of that. I'll talk with our designers and then we'll work on that during design development to deliver that.
Mike, could we use concrete and do the same design as that one that Cora just showed you? Does it have to be stainless steel?
It's possible. I think so. Yeah. I mean, we can have it done concrete either way. It's not very common, but it can be done.
I imagine the stainless steel is a cost factor. Is that correct?
Yeah, because it's a pre-manufactured product and there's only a few installers in the region that can actually pull it off. Stainless steel prices are volatile. They go up and down. They're kind of pricey. It goes on after the fact. It gets put in by a separate installer. There has to be one of 3 gutter installers in the country. So, your GC or whoever is not going to be able to do it themselves. Usually the gutter company that sells the gutters themselves actually provides the install with their cost of their product. So we're relying on a third party entity to schedule and get in there and do the work. And I know that they've had some issues with those people late from a construction standpoint, as far as stainless steel goes. The
Yeah.
pool contractor doesn't execute that work themselves. That's actually done by the company that manufactures the stainless steel gutters.
And Mike, also those gutters, stainless steel gutters come in lengths and they get welded in place in the field. That's what we did. I know.
That's correct. Yeah. So the contractor on site prepares the trough and the conditions around the perimeter to the specifications of the gutter supplier. And then when they're prepared, with the haunches all laid out and everything is level and ready to go, they trigger the installer to come. He's scheduled. He comes in from the Midwest somewhere most of the time, and they come on site. The gutter's already there waiting for them, and they just spend the day, a couple days or weeks or whatever it takes, welding it onto the pool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and they do come in pieces. They come in segments. There's only maybe 2 or 3 gutter manufacturers, and they all share the same installers, which is like 2 companies in the country that do it. And I just know that in recent years, it's been very difficult getting them on site and executing. So if it's a tight project schedule, it could be an issue, but we have 2 companies that we work with that do the gutters and the installs, and we should just start engaging with them right away if that's the direction we're going.
But Mike, on that stainless steel design, is that the same as the cantilever design, but just on the sides of the pool, the cantilever is gone? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, it's just set back more. It's just set back. It's not coming straight over the top. They don't have 100% overlap. There's just a little, there's a difference between the sides. Yeah, just an overlay. It's a detail that we would draw and design and then provide to the gutter installer, who then builds their gutters to the design. All these gutters are made to order. So however we draw it is the way they're going to build it and ship it and deliver it. And this style is not common, but it's not rare. So it's something that they have experience doing. And if that's
We get around the house
go.
of Bidlaw, Massachusetts, Miss Metals, there's stainless steel gutters there.
Would you be okay with the all concrete in that form? Sorry, John.
It doesn't really matter to me. I'm more concerned about lots of tile on the floor around the pool.
Is that tile, Mike, on the cantilevered one, that's tile, or is that concrete? It'll be tile in an indoor pool either way, right?
It's usually tile. We don't have many issues with them. Some people say every now and then a tile might break, but those are in facilities where they offer like scuba diving classes or something, and some fireman or policeman drops their air tank on the edge and it cracks a tile. But if you're talking about barefoot swimmers and swim lessons, lifeguard programs, we've never had any issues with tile cracking or breaking.
Wow. So if we don't want to do stainless steel, can we have them design it in concrete and then go from there? Is that?
Yeah. I mean, I have to go to the drawing board. I'm a project manager, not a designer, so I don't actually work in CAD and do designs. But I would love to get some of those pictures emailed to me of this Minichog style gutter.
And the one thing that I think would be interesting is how effective you can make the concrete there. That one straight wall is easy. That's strong. But when you are doing a couple of different cuts, I don't know. But
yeah, they'll know.
I'll tell you what. I do have to run. I do have a meeting. I need to drive. I have to get on the road. But if you want to email me some more pictures of this Minichog gutter style, side views and top views and such, sounds like these pictures are already available.
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and share them with the designer I have assigned to this job, and we'll just start playing around with it during design development and see what we come up with. But I'm sure it's something we can handle.
So where we're leaving it now is that we would give, you might be able to come back to our next meeting with some drawings of how this would look
Concrete.
in a concrete style. With the same, what we really want to be sure we're holding is that step out, push out at the ends. So coming up with a unique detail for that. They're all custom
I
anyway.
don't know that it matters myself,
I don't have.
but if it's important to others, then
Yeah,
we should.
see.
But I think concrete sounds like we should try to stay with that. So if he's able to design, at least give us a suggestion on how that might work,
Right.
and then we can
Why
decide.
don't you
where
give
to
me,
go.
when's the next pool meeting?
We'll be
Scheduled it.
scheduling it at the end of this meeting, so we'll let you know. But how
What
much
about,
time would
is it
you
like
need?
approximately a month or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, we might do faster because this issue we want to kind of resolve so that we can move forward, but we're gonna schedule these meetings are very working meetings to get answers to things, and when we've got all the answers we need.
Yeah, so just get me pictures of this, get me more photographs of Minichog pool gutter from the sides and the ends and et cetera. I'll get on the phone with my architect at my office tomorrow. We'll have a nice long call about it. We'll talk about it. And then we'll incorporate some details or go dig in and see if we've done something like this over the last 40 years. I've only been with the company 2 years, but you know, we've been designing pools since 1980. So I'm sure this has come up at some point in our life. And we'll send some submissions over to the architects and we'll have our own discussions. And then maybe we'll have some details for you to review and look at for the next meeting. Because once we pull the trigger, we move very quickly. It's really just a decision-making process that takes a while, but once we have an agreement on a detail and a style that you want to go with, it doesn't take us very long to incorporate that into our drawings.
Mike, real quick before you leave, we've got a couple slides on Mertha pools coming up next. Should we just skip those?
The only thing I want to do for Mertha right now to introduce it, is it's just another option instead of a concrete pool altogether. They make their pools out of a stainless steel panel, flange stainless steel panel and PVC material. You can kind of flip through those slides and look at them, and then I can answer more questions about them on the next meeting. And it's just an alternative to the overall construction of the pool shell itself. So right now we would pour the floor and shoot the walls and you'd have a full concrete pool shell. With Mertha, they wouldn't use concrete. They would have these panels that go around and create a pool. They use them in the Olympics. They use them at Olympic trials. If you've ever watched, you know, US trials or any of the past Olympics, those are all pools provided by Mertha. They're the official pool supplier for USA Swimming and the Olympic Commission. So every single professional swimming event from FINA's to Worlds, everything's in a Mertha pool.
What are the advantages?
Is it cheap? It looks cheaper as well. Is it cheaper than concrete?
Well, it's not necessarily, because it's a very expensive material, but it lasts as long as the building does. So they tout that, you know, their Mertha pools will last as long as the actual school is. So as long as you expect the school to live, the Mertha pool is going to live. So they say. And the cost savings is in construction because they carry in the panels and they rivet them together and they water seal them and they watertight them. And there's really no need for giant concrete crews in and out. They can have crews come in and they rivet these panels together and they construct the pool and they put a liner through it. So they'll advertise that their construction costs are much less than the costs of a concrete pool, but the actual cost of the shell itself is a little more. What I could do is if you're really interested in learning more about the Mertha system, I can get one of their technical service people on the line and I can have them present at the next meeting. I think it would be more.
I don't think we're gonna want to entertain an option that is a more expensive option at this point.
It's sole source too, right?
Yeah, this is a public project in Massachusetts, so I'm not sure that unless you have 3 equals and it's, you know, equal or lower in price, it's not super helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to convince you into it. I just want to make sure you know that that's an option that's available, and we can look deeper into it if you want. We don't do many of them. Some people love them, some people don't. I mean, our spec would be just a normal shotcrete concrete pool. That's how we would do it if we were given the permission to just design it the way we wanted to. We just wanted to make sure you know that it's an option so you can look at it, think about it, and discuss it amongst yourselves. My job is just to make sure you're aware of all the different methods available. I don't want to convince you into one or the other, but if I were you, I would just stick with a concrete shotcrete pool. I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah, Mike, I would say plan on that unless anybody disagrees. Because we don't, like Dory said, we don't need to add additional costs necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, so why don't you give me a couple weeks to play around with this Minichog style gutter? I'll have my architect look at it in both concrete and stainless steel, and then I'll be a lot more prepared at the next meeting. And I have a standing appointment every other Thursday, so this happened to be a Thursday where I have to run. If it were next Thursday or the Thursday before, I could have been on this call all day. So maybe next time we'll pick it seems like you guys meet on Thursdays. Just hopefully it won't be one of these every others for me. And I'm sorry. Yeah, I have a standing meeting every other Thursday at 3.
Okay.
Hey, Mike, we appreciate your input though.
Yeah, no, I'll get to work. I'll get to work this week. In fact, I'll get on it first thing in the morning, and we'll just have somebody email me as many photos as you can of the Minichog gutter. And if you've got
that?
Yes.
you get
Take
the
care of that.
hands on-
Mike, we'll have Dory send over the photos. We're kind of up against it here too, so we appreciate it. We'll
I
we'll follow
appreciate
up,
it.
we'll coordinate the meeting time with you and everything, but we'll be good.
Yeah, and honestly, we just want to design it the way you guys want it. I don't want you to think I'm trying to convince you out of or into any ideas. Just want to make sure you know what's out there. If the swim coach wants the pool done a certain way, we're going to do our best to make it done the way she wants it. That's our job.
Cool. All right, Mike,
Send
thanks.
me all those pics, and we'll be in touch. I'll work with the architects as early as 2 days from now and start updating everybody on what I figured out tomorrow.
Cool.
All right, great.
All right,
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep. Take care.
Yeah,
Other design decisions?
he does have the photos, but I'll resend them. It's just easy to get lost, I think.
He also
Um,
just got back on the
yeah.
project.
Yeah,
He's been off for a while, so.
Yeah, it's always hard for people to stop and go. Develop. I think a lot of this is, everything's custom anyway, so having it worked out in sketch so that everybody can see and get exactly what they want out of it is good. So, yeah, it's been something that he's continually brought up, that concrete will be easier in a public bid in
Yeah,
Massachusetts.
anything stainless or proprietary kind of scares me.
Yeah, and that there's a cost savings to it and durability in favor of it, so I'm glad we had the conversation, so we'll get that sketch in front of everybody in the next round.
The laundry list, we can go through these. Take as long as we need on some of them and go through others quickly. Touchpads and lane lines, Cora, do you have thoughts on that topic? Cora's giving up on us.
Sorry, you can't hear me.
You select-
Touchpads and lane lines. So the lane lines we currently have are like razor blades. So I would not suggest getting the same ones that we currently have. I think the ones that we have outdoors at Pine Knoll are a little kinder on the hands. I can figure out what they are and let you know. Touchpads, we use Colorado timing system right now, and we have a separate set for the outdoor pool than we have for the indoor pool because the lengths or the widths of the lanes are different for the outdoor versus the indoor pool. And it also depends on the type of gutter you have, which connectors you need to hang over the gutters or that will connect the touchpads to the wall. So the person we would want to have here for that is John Tarbell, who is the CPO for both pools in town. He's actually at a high school swim meet right now. So I don't think he would have been, or he's on his way to a high school swim meet. So I don't think he would have been able to make it to this meeting. But he does all of like the timing system. He was actually one of the people who installed the scoreboard up on the wall. He was working with the firm that installed that. So he is very knowledgeable about that, but I know we use Colorado. So I know the high school and the rec department share and split costs between those two things because we both use them. So we use the outdoor ones, whereas the high school does not. So we kind of are responsible for the outdoor ones, but the indoor ones, both the high school and the rec department share together. So that's about that. I know that when we're talking about where the scoreboard needs to go and be hung, with talking and being at lots of other pools, we would want the scoreboard behind the starting blocks. It's the best place to have them. That's where they are at Minnehaha. You don't want them at the opposite end of the pool, which is where we have them now. And you don't usually want them on the side of the pool. It's really easy when you're coaching and swimming that when you touch the touch pads, you look up and you see your times. And right now I think there's big windows behind the starting end of the pool. So I don't know if there's a way to put a scoreboard in between the windows or how that works.
Yeah, we can definitely accommodate that.
But the touch pads and which ones you're going to specifically order are going to depend on the gutters that we have at the end of the pool. Because they're going to be different types depending on what it is connecting to on the edge of the pool.
Great.
Can we do gray and red or black and red lane lines or something? The white gets discolored, so.
So right now they have red with a little with white
picking colors yet?
in between. You can do gray and red or what, it doesn't really matter.
Do gray and red
Or black and red,
colors.
like all the
Yeah.
new fire trucks.
That's pretty easy. They come in like every single color you can think of. So
Black
that
and
just
you got Long Meadow.
I will tell you the edges of the lane lines that we have that connect to the walls are they're the twisty ones as opposed to like the ratchet wrench ones, and the ratchet wrench ones are usually easier to accommodate as opposed to the twisty ones that we have. Again, I don't know the technical terms for those, but
Yes.
John would know because they know they ordered new ones, I think last year or the year before for the high school.
The razor blades.
Can I ask sort of a?
The
more-
razor blades.
John wanted, just for the record.
Can I ask a much higher level question than Colin? Where are we in the process? So we've got the vote that's been approved for 16,795,
Mhm.
right? What does that mean? Are we locked into the decisions that got us to that estimate of 16,795? Or can we make tweaks? So for example, if the gutter system of stainless is $1 million and the concrete is $500,000, can we start shaving off to get another 4 feet of deck space on either side? Like, can you help me understand where we are in that?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, on that schedule slide, we had check-ins with the cost estimators at the end of design development at 60% construction documents and at 90% construction documents. And so each of those are going to be really helpful in terms of, yes, we need to stay under that total project budget that was approved by the voters. And so that's our opportunity to kind of check in with that number. And there will certainly be trading that goes off. I mean, when we had the schematic design cost estimate, they have quite a large number in there for design contingency, because we haven't figured out all the details for the building, right? How does the wall meet the roof and what does that exactly, structurally need to happen there? In terms of could we trade off something like a gutter for additional square footage? I think we would have to figure that out very quickly because, that would have serious repercussions on everybody, including structural steel and, the mechanical system, figuring out the volume of air in the space. So I think there's a little bit of room for those decisions early in DD, but probably to a limited extent.
And also just the SD cost estimate included detailed specs of all of this equipment. So a lot of this was baked into the
Yeah.
cost,
Yeah.
right? So we're not, when we talk about these details, we're not necessarily looking at things that are costing more. If there's something that jumps up as a goal that is obviously going to raise costs, that's something we'll just try and flag immediately. And, again, decide whether to find out if there's room within that cost estimating by marking that out. I'm talking about small things, relatively small things, but how many square?
There's not gonna be an opportunity to increase square footage, so I think we're
Yeah, that's
past that. I think.
Yeah, and that might be the answer. I just didn't know what we had. In my mind, the biggest thing would the choke point of 8 feet is that is the only thing that makes me that's the thing that makes me the most nervous. And then the second biggest thing is safety of the pool deck. I was kind of bummed out to hear that pool decks haven't evolved in 50 years. That is a little bit wild to me. I think that's worth it, not only because our coach is on the sidelines, but that is the thing that scares me the most about a pool. And we gotta do whatever we can to get a safe pool deck.
Have you seen a textured tile in a pool?
I've seen it on outdoors.
Outdoors.
Yeah. So Long Meadow Country Club did and it was expensive. We only did it, I think, on 6 to 8 feet around the perimeter of the pool, and then it's concrete everywhere else. But it's terrific, and I just don't know if you could apply that into. I don't know.
I was wondering that too. I was going to talk to Michael about that because there's such different finishes, there's different tiles. So being sure that we get the most, tactily.
Yeah.
Follow up with him on that. I know he said it hadn't evolved, but maybe if we suggest a textured tile, maybe that does exist.
Does it have to be tile? Could it be epoxy with a grid in it?
Well, tile is what had been included in our estimate and what has been stated as a preference, but we looked at epoxy as an option, as a VE option. So if that's a better option for people.
I think overall, the durability long-term is gonna be the tile versus the epoxy, don't you think?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
You'd have to
4 years versus the epoxy, that's
Redo it.
gonna wear.
He mentions
I don't know.
tile breaking. We've got tiles that are out on the high school pool deck right now.
Yes, I've been wearing
So it happens.
those 60, almost 70 years.
I get it.
Yeah.
But it's not unheard of that in his example of we'll do scuba lessons in here. I'm sure we will.
So what's the committee's feeling about that full deck finish then?
I think we've got to, I don't know what it is, but it's got the safest pool deck we possibly can have.
Should we talk to them about textured epoxy as an alternative with maybe tile at the,
I don't think epoxy, to Bruce's point, is gonna
I don't,
durability.
I don't know what the answer is, but
I don't think.
But maybe we can ask about a textured tile if that's something that exists. Maybe we could be the first.
gotta be something. There has to be. I'm asking for a friend, Cora.
Yeah,
Much appreciated. Thank you.
it's painful to hear him talk about with her. Yeah.
I do not 10 out of 10 recommend ever completely tearing your hamstring to anyone, just to put it out there. Ever.
So our
10
thinking
out of
about
10 do not recommend.
is that we would be very specific in digging in on these kind of details and just get as much as we can. And once we're done answering every question and everybody has everything they need, we won't need to meet except when we're reviewing cost estimates and making any other decisions going forward. So it might be great to have our next meeting scheduled around John's availability to get more input from John, Cora.
Barbell?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to him on a daily basis about swim team, so I can definitely make sure that he's here. And then again, with him being the CPO of both pools, I think it'd probably be great. I know he works with Bruce and stuff, but I think it'd be great to have him here because I'm assuming he'll be here taking care of these pools. But also he does a lot of the technical stuff behind the scenes for the high school team. He helps the whole league with a lot of their stuff that we're in for swim meets, and a lot of other high school coaches. So he has a lot of knowledge about the timing systems and how to make them work and what makes sense.
Right. What we might, Cora, maybe what we'll also do is ship you an 11 by 17 of the plans, and you guys can, because you and I have talked a little bit about locations on some of these things, and you guys can mark up from the perspective of safety equipment and equipment around the deck, where you feel it works best, and that can actually speed this, because I'm not sure everybody else is necessarily going to be as informative on that, and then we can just
Okay.
run meetings.
Yeah, that's fine.
And that might be helpful too. And then one thing that we'd like to focus on in the next meeting is daylighting in the windows, because, again, we got stuff into the budget, but it's a very big issue. And it's, when talking to the PE staff, they've brought up the question of, glare and daylighting. So I think having Brian from SMA, he's kind of leading on the exterior, involved in a conversation about that will be helpful, because the question about like scoreboards and how we might narrow that and control that, and that will have a consequence. We have enough in there that I think if anything, we'd be reducing it rather than increasing it. So that's helpful.
Daylighting's
Would there
important.
be any way for us to go see the Minnetonka pool? I know we went to West Springfield, but they have windows along the top of their pool building but
Mhm.
they're like opaque, right? So you can't totally see through them. I don't think they're like plexiglass, but they're not, you don't get all the glare through it. You still get a lot of the natural light, but you don't get the glare through, which is huge. Because if you've ever been in an indoor pool where there's windows with glare,
Yeah,
that hits the pool, it's awful.
The old Minnetonka pool had it the other way and they covered up the windows.
right. And that's what I'm concerned about.
They did it horribly wrong.
Do that.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
do you want to send out dates to everybody like we did last time as a poll?
Yeah.
You
And
want to pick it right
I
now?
might be able to partially walk in a couple of weeks, so I could hobble around.
so a couple of weeks, huh?
And throw out some bits, huh?
We talked about next
Sure.
meeting date.
Yeah,
Yeah, all right.
looking at like, so first week of January then potentially for, is it possible we should make it part of seeing Minnetonka Pool at the same time? And then,
And, well, depends on whether Minichog wants to host us. So
Yeah.
you're talking, if you're staying on Thursday, that's January 4th.
And I
according,
can talk to Eric because I don't know how much of their
Later.
pool is used during the day. So he was been really great about offering us lots of information because they went through this process, obviously not that long ago, so.
so who should we reach out to at Minnetonka to talk to them?
Eric Mandel is the swim coach over there.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, Eric Mandel. And he was the one who John and I went and met with this summer. He's not the CPO or the facilities person, but he has access to the pool pretty much whenever he wants.
Okay. Okay, so maybe if we reach out and talk to him and see if we can get something ahead, maybe the week of the 8th, you're thinking 8th to 12th for the next meeting then. So we might have two things back to back once.
So January 11th, what are you talking about?
Yeah, so how does January 11th look for a meeting?
Afternoon?
Sure.
Okay.
Whatever works for the group.
Which is the one that we're gonna go on site?
We don't know yet. We'll have to reach out. So we'll send a,
So it'll be a January 11th meeting and we'll figure out the field trip to Minichog.
Do we want to try for the 4th? Just,
Yeah,
all right with everybody
on that, yeah.
Fourth works
for
better.
the tour?
For tour.
You're not trying to do both on the same day?
No, it sounds like that. I didn't think.
Roughly this time, does that work for folks? Kind of late afternoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll have to reach out to them, but
All right,
January 11th.
all right, so roughly 2:00 on the 11th for another meeting in the conference room? Does that work?
I will not be available that day.
Not available?
It opening.
Might be able to
You
zoom.
guys can have it without me. We can catch up
What?
unless it's something.
Never.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So January 11th from 2 to 3.
Yep,
Okay.
And I'll send drawings to you ahead of time for you all to noodle on.
Oh, somebody just sent it through.
And Dory, I can send, do you need me to
I think I
resend you
did by
those
accident,
pictures?
sorry.
Good work.
No.
But I put three.
Okay,
No, I
totally
know, but
side note, John is at the Ludlow Boys and Girls Club with the high school swim team, and they have the same gutter set up at the Ludlow Boys and Girls Club as Minichog.
all right. If there's no new business, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
All right. Great. And then Charles. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Bye.
Anybody opposed? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
thanks, everybody.